So the biggest piece of news I think that come out, and it was like just something that I didn't believe when it hit. You know how people always do those stupid articles that they fake them, and like you see people post it online. You're just like, oh, I hate it when people do this. Like,
oh, I thought it was a hoax for a minute.
Yep.
People used to do the RIP stuff on Twitter a lot. So I was like, well, what is it now? And I was like, oh, wait.
Right, to me, like, I'm sitting there and I'm on Facebook and I just boot up my thing and I see it. I'm like, all right, whatever. No, like, this is a joke, clearly, so I put it down. And then my phone, and I only have, like, certain text messages from certain people enabled to notify me. And then I realized when within 3 minutes, it went off, like, a dozen times. I'm like, what the hell happened? So I pick it up and I'm like, oh no. And like, that's when it hit me. And, like, I went online and I saw everybody talking about it. And obviously, the tragic passing of Chadwick is something that's, I couldn't even really react to it because, like, it just hit me hard because I think, like many people, he just, everything he did, like what he was doing, not just as Black Panther, but I mean as a human being, and knowing that he was doing all these things with, cancer, and nobody knew and he was fighting through it, like, it's just so devastating. He was so young as well. Like, my God. Like,
say 43 is way too young. Way too young for something like that. So it's unfortunately the age you start getting like colon. You've got to start screening for colon cancer, but it's still way too young. We should have had this guy for decades.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I'll say this: I went to watch Black Panther again, and it was hard. Like, it was just. It was a little too early. Like, I was still like, nope, I can't do this right now. So, like,
I had that thought of watching something. I was like, I can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
I can barely keep myself together looking at, Don Cheadle making a video about it. I can't watch a whole movie with Boseman in it. Like,
yeah.
Like, what made me sad is that I would say is like what casuals were saying is that, or what they didn't understand is that, from what I saw, they wanted to retire T'Challa, and what people put them saying by retire T'Challa, they want to retire the character entirely, and I'm like, no, that isn't the way to go.
I say, well, this is the thing, isn't it? 'Cause it's like he was a guy who only did stuff that.
Yeah,
not necessarily leave a legacy for him, but a legacy for the industry and people of color in that community, the industry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like Black Panther's obviously part of that. He wouldn't have done it otherwise.
Yeah.
So I think I don't really want to talk about like what people are saying there. Recast him. It's like, no, the guy's not even had his funeral.
Yeah,
that's way too soon. Stuff like that.
Yeah, that I would want to wait. Is just. They want to like retire the character is what kind of got me.
As I was about to say, no, the legacy of that character is it's a tricky one because some people are saying don't do another movie. Some people are saying you're saying just retire the character outright. You can't taking the character away outright is going against what he would want.
Yeah, it's the way I see it is kind of like. People need to like understand is like for what some of the other people have said is that there'll always be another T'Challa, but there'll never be another Boseman.
Yeah.
Right. Yep. It's the Heath Ledger thing, like people are like, well, you should retire, like Black Panther. It's like, well, should they have retired Joker? Like, because it was his final role. It's like, look, there's obviously the legacy that he's going to leave behind as Black Panther, as not only the Black Panther, but the fact that he proved you can have a black superhero starring in a primarily black cast, almost everybody, directed by a black person, and you can embrace that heritage and tackle it head on and put it in a comic book movie, and it will make over $1 billion. It showed Hollywood that look, you can do this. You don't need to have primarily white people everywhere, and we can do it without China's box office as well, which I mean, that within itself was shocking as well, because China has such a huge take of box office these days. So it's the legacy he set out there, and it's one of these things where, you look at pictures online, and you see little children, primarily of color, they're posting pictures. But what I loved was seeing some of my friends who have children. Like, one of them is 7 years old, little white kid. He's got like the blondest hair. You'd think he's bald. It's so blonde, right? And he was doing the Wakanda Forever with his Black Panther toy. And like, it's another thing where nobody was like, well, this or that. It's like, no, he loved that character. It's one of his favorites. Like, and he didn't see that whole color thing. He's just like, no, he loved Black Panther. He had the costume for Halloween. Like, it's truly a role that I think not a lot of people expect it to be as big and as groundbreaking and defining and changing Hollywood, really, for what Chadwick did for that role.
Yeah, because if you want to go about the Black Panther legacy, he went from, I think it was early 2000s, getting a motion comic.
Yeah.
A motion comic from BET to now where he is mainstream, that everyone now knows, whether they're a hardcore fan or just a casual fan, they know the name Black Panther.
Yep.
But it's like, to what Armin was saying about the kids, it's broken that barrier down. Like, a lot of people, before you had that stigma, it was like, oh no, you play with the white toys, you had the black toys running for the little black kids and all that. Like, now it doesn't, like, it never should have mattered before. Yeah. But now it doesn't. Like,
that's part of the reason why, like, Spider-Man and a lot of masked characters are extremely popular compared to some of the unmasked characters, because of that barrier where, I want to play Spider-Man, you can't play. I want to play Superman, you can't play Superman because you're not Caucasian.
Right.
Yeah, then they gravitate towards Spider-Man because he wears a mask, so you don't know who's under there.
Dang. Yeah, I mean, Nick, what's your feelings on this whole Chadwick Black Panther, what he's done?
Yeah, it was pretty like just out of the blue when like the news hit. Like, obviously none of us expected it because we didn't know what he was going through, but it's just a tremendous loss, I guess, for not just the MCU, just anyone really, the community as a whole. I mean, it's like, yeah, like he was gonna be like a big part of Marvel stuff going forward too, just beyond Black Panther, right? I mean,
yeah.
So it's I don't know what they're gonna do. And there was a report too that came out yesterday, right? That like nobody at Marvel and Disney knew either, right?
No. Which is the thing. I think like it's something that people say, oh, you shouldn't think about it, but the second the news drops, you automatically think about it. It's like, did they know? And then Ryan Coogler came out with his statement, which is, what he said was fantastic. But the whole, he didn't know. They were close, and Michael B. Jordan were close to him. Neither of them knew.
I mean, that report also,
how private he was.
Right, and that's the thing. Like, the Hollywood Reporter, they break it down. They're like, oh, Kevin Feige only found out an hour before it was made public, and he actually didn't even see the text message till it hit the internet. So, like, not even Feige knew.
At the same time.
Right, like, it's... And, you hear the story, as Nick was saying, it's like this was going to be his future, and you hear how much he was fighting for it, where a week ago, he was literally like, all right, we're shooting Black Panther, end of the year. Like...
Yeah, let me put this weight back on. No.
Oh, my God, like...
I think I haven't seen all the ABC tribute they did for him. I've seen like 17 minutes or whatever they got on YouTube of it, and they say like he's going to leave an absence, and it's like, yeah, that's probably the best word for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there is an absence. Thanks, gone.
It's I don't know. Like, I'm still like sad about it when I think about it. Like, just such a tremendous talent that just. Almost like did the impossible for Hollywood and movies, and that's he leaves a legacy that is honestly just tremendous with everything he's done, and and it is going to be hard with we don't want to get into everything. Oh, what happens with the future of Black Panther now? We'll talk about that, at a later date. But
I was going to say, let the family have their time to themselves, and let them have the funeral for him before you start talking about that. Like, have some. The guy was human after all. Give him the time. Have some decorum.
And that's the thing. It's like it'll be whatever they do. We need to wait to see what the decision is before we can really, get to that step next. But
yeah, it still kind of hits you is where you get all those jokes to where Boseman people are making fun of it, saying like he didn't want to do the Wakandan salute forever.
Yeah, that's such an unfortunate thing.
Yeah, and then once after all this comes out, then you realize, he was probably running on fumes at that point, and just trying to not let anybody know what's wrong with him.
No, because it was only a few months ago you had another load of those, because that's when everyone first saw him really skinny.
Oh yeah,
and you just had those wave of memes about it. It's like I'm really on the fence about stuff like that, because it's people don't know.
Yeah,
and if he was that private, it's really hard. Like the internet takes the piss out of everything. You can't stop it. It's something you got to live with.
Yeah, that type of stuff. It's like it's not malicious. It's just they're just poking fun at stuff that they see. And
I'll bring it around to like Christian Bale, right? When he did that massive weight loss for his role, I think I can't remember what the movie was.
Was it The Machinist?
Yes.
No.
Like something like that, but like he did not, like he transformed himself to look that way. And for all we know, and there was speculation, people are like, oh, Chadwick's getting ready to do another role, so he's dropping all this pounds and stuff, and he's going to put it back on. And, that was a legit thing that people were saying as well. So it's like, nobody, I don't think, made any of those memes with the nobody was
because how can you? Because no one outside of like immediate family really knew.
Mm-hmm.
Like there might have been one or two other people, but no one else knew, so you couldn't really have it maliciously.
Yeah.
So it's like the people shaming everyone for making them and laughing at them. I'm just like, no one knew. They're gonna feel bad enough as it is. I don't think that's what Chadwick would have wanted you to do at this point. Like, don't start. It's like the whole Olsen situation. Like just because she didn't mention anything, people went straight for her, and she's like gone off Instagram now. It's like, don't do stuff like that. I know everyone's hurting because of it, but like, don't take it out on other people. Like, people would all deal with stuff in their own way, in their own time.
Right. That's exactly.
Just an unfortunate situation that they had all those memes, but
exactly. But that's the world we're in today. It is the world. So with that in mind, everybody in the comments, please let us know, your thoughts on this. What's your favorite like Black Panther moment involving him?
Even Chadwick Boseman movie,
or even his favorite role or anything. Let us know in the comments below. Spread some of that positivity, to people, and just I guess be kind to each other. I know this is the internet and that's hard to say, and people, but
and it's YouTube comments,
and that's like the ultimate, like Mos Eisley version of the internet, but you can do it. So
just take a second to realize he filmed 6 to 7 movies in the last 4 years, knowing he had like stage 3 colon cancer.
Yep.
And he didn't slow down, and he was still planning to do more movies.
And that movie, The Five Bloods, hits different now.
I haven't seen it. I meant to watch it when it dropped, and I just never got around to it. So when it's settled a bit more, and I'm gonna watch that.
Yeah.
And what's also cool is that I don't know if people were playing Fortnite. Was it the Nexus?
They
battle?
have that Panther statue there, and all that.
Yeah, and Epic Games stated that from data, players were using that as a memorial.
Yeah, because it wasn't actually intended for that. It was
they were gonna have I guess they were gonna have an event that involves the Panther statue at a later date, but players went there for a memorial instead.
It just shows you that some people are good. There are good people.
Don't let the loud, negative people dictate the majority of the fandom. That's kind of how it goes, right? I don't let that happen. So we will definitely talk more about Black Panther when the time is right. But for now, let's just focus on celebrating everything Black Panther that they did, specifically with Chadwick at the helm. So yeah, sound off in the comments, everybody.